I wrote this book not only to help people get out of their relationship, but to really dig deep and know the reason why their relationship will or will not work. By the time you are finished with the first couple of chapters, I want you to have a clear idea of whether you want to pursue your relationship or not. Please do not misunderstand me. I will not be the one to determine whether you stay or leave your relationship. The choice will totally be up to you. If you choose to stay and work it out, great. I wish you all the best. But if you choose to break up and move on with your life, I will be happy to share with you what I did to prepare for a breakup. This is definitely not an easy process. For some, it may take days, and others, years. My thing is to break up with no regrets, no bitterness, no grudges, and definitely no more chances. Even if after reading this book you decide to stay, at least you were able to get out all the feelings and emotions that were bottled up inside of you. Keep this book in a safe place. Chapter 1. Reflect. I was in a relationship for 2 years. And one of those years, I was married. I was miserable the whole time. I felt trapped, mainly because I was so in love with my ex-husband. I thought that if I just loved him harder and stayed long enough, he would realize that he had a good woman and change his lifestyle to fit the image that I had for him in my own mind. After the second year of crying and hoping, I realized that I loved him more than I loved myself. I cared more about his happiness more than mine, even before my son's happiness. I was depressed, but that still wasn't enough for me to leave. I was determined for him to change. One day, I was talking to this woman in my apartment building about her relationship. Like me, she loved her boyfriend very much and was just as miserable as I was. After revealing that she had been with him for 7 years and things were still the same, I started thinking about my own messed up relationship. I knew that this was not the life that I imagined living when I was a little girl. I knew that I wasn't happy, but I just couldn't see myself with anyone else. And I definitely couldn't see him with anyone else. One thing was for sure. I knew that I didn't want to stay in that relationship in its current condition. Eventually I got tired and left, but then I went back. Through my personal experiences, relationships mostly start out great. Sometimes you meet a person that you think in your mind is the one. You automatically make it up in your mind how you think the relationship is going to be. You think it's going to be perfect because he or she is so fine. That is the first mistake in making someone the image of your own perception. Eventually, you learn the truth, and everything you thought this person would be fails, and your life starts crashing down with disappointment and misery. You start to wonder what went wrong. I want you to think about the first time you met your partner. Think about how he or she first looked, how they smelled, spoke, felt, and treated you. No matter how disgusted you are now, think back with a clear and open mind. I have a list of journal questions that I would like for you to answer at the end of each chapter. After all, this is a journal. Be very truthful and honest with yourself. It is always good to reflect on how your relationship started and where you are now. Question 1. How did you meet your partner? Question 2. What attracted you to your partner, mentally and physically? Question 3. How was your partner's personality when you first met? Question 4. What changed about your partner's personality? Question 5. What did your partner do in the beginning of the relationship that he or she was not doing now?
Examples. Were they cooking, communicating, spending time with you? Question 6. How do you feel about the changes in your relationship? How are they affecting your relationship? Chapter 2. Judge yourself.
Sometimes in relationships, we tend to judge the other person and not look at our own behavior. Remember, every action definitely causes a reaction. I'm not saying you're the reason for your partner messing up, but just like you can be pushed away, your partner can be pushed away as well. For example, I was in a relationship with this guy. In the beginning of the relationship, I would make sure that I was clean and that I was looking good all the time. After a couple of months of dating, I stopped getting dressed up and started wearing sweats and t-shirts all day. I guess you can say I got comfortable. I didn't think about how he felt or how he viewed me. Eventually, I found out he was cheating on me. I'm not saying he wouldn't have cheated anyway, but it could have contributed to him wanting to see other women. It's very important to keep doing and acting the same way you did in the beginning of the relationship. That is the person your partner was attracted to. Whether it was your personality, looks, or mindset, these things need to stay the same or excel. It is so easy to blame someone else when the relationship goes wrong, but really, what negative part did you play? Even if you felt like you were innocent and you did everything you could to make the relationship work, your inconsistency could have been just standing there a little too long. Allowing another person to treat you in any way that you feel is disrespectful or dissatisfying is your fault, not your partner's. You have to own up to your part and stop playing the victim. Remember, you don't have to take anything from anybody. You are not bound to anyone, and you can be happier by yourself. You just have to allow yourself to be free.
Question 1. What negative part did you play in your relationship, and how could you have made it better? Question 2. What changed about you during the course of your relationship? Describe everything completely. Question 3. Describe a situation where you were wrong in the relationship. How could you have made things better? Question 4. What did you do in the beginning of the relationship that you eventually stopped doing? Question 5. What do you feel that you should have changed to make yourself happier in your relationship? Examples could be insecurities, inability to trust, exercise. Chapter 3. Be realistic.
When I was a kid, I used to watch romantic movies on television, and I thought it was the way things were supposed to be. I thought when I grew up that I was going to find the perfect man, get married, and have the perfect family. I was wrong and had to come into reality real quick because I thought my husband was supposed to take care of me, never cheat or harm me. I set myself up for disappointment by allowing my dreams of a good marriage come in between my reality. It took me longer to leave my ex-husband because somewhere in my mind, I thought that he would fulfill my dream and change. I thought he could be the perfect man that I wanted him to be. After all, Cinderella and all the other beautiful women that I saw on TV lived happily ever after with their husbands. I never seen them arguing, fighting, or cheating. I thought this dream of mine had to come into reality at some point, but that dream never came. Sometimes our hearts can be deceitful and can easily fall into a fantasy world. If the relationship is not going the way you want it to, or the way you dreamed it to be, remember that we live in the real world. No one is perfect. You only deal with what you can handle when you're in a relationship. There are things in relationships that I can handle, but the next person can't. You have to know what your tolerance level is when it comes to dealing with negative behaviors. If you can tolerate the person you're with now, hang in there. If not, you really need to let reality kick in and realize this is it. your reality. Don't complain about what your partner needs to change or try to force your reality on others. It's not going to work. And it's not fair to you or your partner. I knew a lady who yelled at her husband for not taking out the trash every day. She told me, he's a man. He should know to take out the trash. That could have been her perception of what a real man is. That doesn't make it reality. Maybe he wasn't that type of man. Just like there are men who open car doors for women and some who don't. On the other hand, there's women who cook and some who don't. These minor attributes wouldn't make them unfit for a relationship. Trying to get someone to fit into your dream world is unrealistic. Point blank, it's not gonna work. A man cannot teach a female how to be a woman, and a woman cannot teach a man how to be a man. Staying away from stereotypes of how a relationship should be can really help you as far as working out your relationship issues, if that's what you want to do. Also, try to focus on your partner's good attributes and see if the good outweighs the bad. You may be able to mend your relationship if you're willing to accept your partner as he or she is.
Question 1. What type of relationship did you dream of having as a child? Question 2. What is it about your relationship that made your dream shatter? Question 3. What negative behaviors can you tolerate in your relationship? What negative behaviors will you not tolerate in your relationship? Question 5. Observing your relationship. Do you think that your expectations of your partner were part of the dreams that you had as a child? Would you be able to look past your partner's flaws to make the situation work? Or are they too much for you to deal with? Explain the situation completely and why it would or wouldn't work. Chapter 4. Allow yourself to be turned off.
I've heard so many people say how much they love their partner, despite the wrong that was done to them, but still choose to stay in their unhealthy relationships. For some reason, they couldn't get over their partner. It was as though they were addicted to another person. First of all, you have to allow yourself to be turned off. Whatever the problem was that got you to this point, remember it. If you don't allow yourself to be turned off by your partner, how do you expect to get over him or her? Don't put it back in the back of your mind like it never happened. I can see if it was spontaneous incidences where your partner engaged in actions where you guys worked through it and were able to move past it. But if your partner continues to indulge in the routine behaviors that continue to disappoint you, use it to build up the anger that you need to motivate you to leave. Fear and anger builds up the fight or flight responses. We as humans use it to survive, and humans need strength to survive. Without strength, you will allow your partner to have control over you and your life. Remember this. You do not have to be with anyone. You are not destined to be with the same person, whether the relationship is good or bad. You have the option to leave. If you feel stuck in a relationship, you are only allowing yourself to be stuck. Don't ponder over the good times that you shared in the beginning of the relationship. Right now, those times are gone. And this is the point where your relationship is right now. You have to decide whether you want to end your relationship based on current circumstances. Stop thinking about who he or she is going to be with in the next relationship. So what? Who's to say that he or she is not going to treat that person the same way as he or she treated you? As long as you want to leave and you do actually leave, that's all that matters. All you need to think about is you and your happiness. If you have kids, think about their happiness too. They would rather see you actually happy rather than walking around faking like you're happy. They can tell the difference. And so can your family and friends. If you are serious about moving on with your life, use those behaviors to build up the anger and bitterness to your advantage. You can think about forgiveness later. Just keep telling yourself that he or she is not going to change and your relationship is what it is. Allow yourself not to like those negative behaviors and realize that this is not the person for you. It's not that you don't love your partner. It's just that this particular person is not for you. Remember, you can love anybody from a distance. If you really can't handle not calling your partner after you've broken up, consider deleting their phone number and get rid of any and all memories of him or her. Whether it's burning pictures, letters, and cards, and throwing away gifts. These things sometimes have you pondering over the relationship and tricking you into thinking that your relationship can work. Turn on your favorite song and celebrate the start of your new life. Something to think about. If you walked into a bar and a stranger came and sat right next to you and pushed out the smelliest part, you are definitely gonna move and be turned off by it. You have to allow these behaviors to turn you off in the same way.
Question 1. List specific behaviors that your partner is demonstrating that will ultimately turn you off. Question 2. What are you tired of in your relationship? Question 3. What does your partner do that gets on your last nerve? Question 4. What does your partner consistently do despite your oppositions about it? Question 5. What behaviors do you know 100% that he or she is not going to change or cannot change today? Question 6. Can you accept the fact that your partner is not changing? Do you think that you can allow these behaviors to turn you completely off from your relationship? If not, are you willing to accept these behaviors by not complaining and being happy with your relationship as it is now? Chapter 5. Prepare your mind.
I know being in relationships is hard sometimes, especially when you know you want to leave, and it's hard because you can't imagine your life without your partner. When I got to the end of the road in my relationship, but didn't have the strength to move on, and on top of that, I couldn't see past the man in front of me, I started to visualize everything I would have done if I wasn't with him. I wanted to go to school and work so badly, but I allowed him to hold me back. I know it's sad to say, but sometimes that type of hold can happen in relationships. He was jealous of everything I did. I couldn't even get dressed and go to the store without him ripping up my clothes. I couldn't imagine going to school or work because he wasn't reliable enough to watch the kids during school hours. Life was miserable, sitting around in a dark house, waiting for the man that I loved to stop doing his drugs. That life definitely was not what I wanted for myself. One day I was sitting in the house thinking about my circumstances, and I started visualizing where I wanted to be in the next 5 years. I kept thinking about how I wanted to move to Los Angeles, purchase my own house, raise my son in a healthy environment, and become an actress. I kept those thoughts in my mind until I moved out and started fulfilling my dreams. Everyone should set goals for themselves. And you should also set goals for your relationship. Right now is the time to make a goal to leave your relationship if that's what you want to do. Like my grandma said, if you can't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And in my case, settle. Take this time to go over everything you have read up until this point. Read your responses to my questions like you were reading a letter from your best friend. Think about the advice you would give your friend if this was his or her situation. Now think about if you want to stay or leave your situation. If you want to leave, continue on. If not, wait till you're ready. Like I said, I'm not writing this book to break people up. I'm writing this book to help people who want to leave but don't know where to start or have an idea of where to begin. Remember in chapter 1, I explained that sometimes as kids we have an image of how we want our lives to be when we grow up. Right now, I want you to focus your mind on how you're going to live your life as an adult. And think about what type of person you want to be with in a relationship. It doesn't matter if it's realistic or not. You can imagine yourself with your favorite movie star, a doctor, or even a plumber. Do whatever you need to get your mind off of the person you're with right now. Visualize your career goals, where you want to live, and what car you'll be driving. You must prepare your mind to look past your current relationship. This relationship does not have to last forever. It is completely up to you how long you deal with your circumstances. I've been there and know firsthand what it feels like to love someone and not want to be with anyone else. Believe me, you will get past it. But first, you must want to believe that you will be happy without your partner. You don't have to think about being with anyone else if you don't want to. But do think about you and what you want to do with your life, because it's all about you. Again, if you have kids, think about them as well. Remember, we are our own worst enemies. We judge ourselves hard. We criticize ourselves. And sometimes we go through things that we don't have to. You can take a stand and get your life back together. All you have to do is visualize, and it will happen.
Question 1. Where are you right now in your relationship? Examples: career, emotionally. Be specific. Question 2. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Be very specific in all aspects of your life. Question 3. Do you see yourself in your relationship 5 years from now? Explain why you came up with your answer. Question 4. What type of person do you see yourself being involved with 5 years from now? Describe him or her exactly the way you imagined them. Question 5. What do you want to do right now, but your circumstances are holding you back from achieving? Chapter 6. Ignore your emotions.
The best part of a relationship is being blessed enough to experience positive love and healthy emotions. The worst part is being trapped by them. Every time I felt stuck in a relationship, it was because I thought that I was in love. That is where the confusing part comes in. I was in love when I was married, but I allowed the love and all the emotions that I had invested in the relationship keep me from leaving. I learned later through growth and maturity that it was my emotions that were controlling me and made me feel like I had to stay. Sometimes we feel we're in love, but in actuality, we're feeling something else. It is emotions that we don't understand. Our emotions are very tricky, and we sometimes think of it as being in love, but it's not. Your emotions will lead you to stay with someone that is wrong for you. Please remember this. You will never meet the right one if you're stuck with the wrong one. I was very young when I first entered into a relationship and wasn't mature enough to know the difference between loving someone and being emotionally attached to someone. According to Wikipedia, love is an emotion of strong affection and personal attachment. Love is a virtue representing all human kindness, compassion, and affection, and the unselfish, loyal, benevolent concern for the good of another. On the other hand, Wikipedia associates emotion with mood, temperament, personality, disposition, and motivation. It also states emotions provide the effective component to motivation, positive or negative. You see where I'm going here? Your emotional connection with this person literally determines your mood and motivation, whether it's good or bad. When you say you love someone, it is an emotional connection that you have with someone. And like all emotions, can be changed. You have to be in control of your own emotions. Do not let the person that you're dealing with determine when you are happy and when you're sad. Take control of what makes you happy and do it. Know that if you leave, it doesn't mean that you don't love your partner. It means that you love yourself enough to make sure that you're happy. I'm sure that you have heard this statement before, but I'm going to say it again. You can love yourself more than anybody could. You know what makes you happy, sad, irritated, and cranky. Take control of your life and stop letting your partner control your emotions. The longer you stay, the more they will have the power to keep you trapped mentally and emotionally. Take your power back and move on.
Question 1. Do you feel that your emotional attachment to your partner is keeping you together? If not, why are you still together? If so, how are you going to take your power back? Question 2. Do you feel that you will be able to separate your love and emotional connection that you have with your partner? If so, how do you plan on doing it? Question 3. If you broke up today, do you feel like you would be comfortable enough to casually date other people within the next couple of weeks? Why or why not? Question 4. Why do you feel like you need to stay in your relationship right now? Are the things you're going through worth it? Question 5. Do you feel like your partner will be hurt if you broke off the relationship? Do you feel like their reaction will cause you to stay? Why or why not? Chapter 7. Prepare to leave.
You must come up with a plan of escape. I understand that sometimes when it's time to break up and leave, there is no time to plan an escape. But it's very important to know where you're going and how you're going to survive. You definitely don't want to find yourself leaving and then coming back because you didn't have a place to lay your head at night. The day I left my ex-husband for good was very abrupt. I was walking down the street giving him an ultimatum to either stop the drugs or ending our marriage. Even though I was crying, I tried my best to persuade him to come home. He was determined to have his hit. We finally reached the dealer's door and he made an exchange with the dealer. And when he made the exchange with the guy, I still thought there was a chance that he wouldn't smoke it. I then proceeded to follow him to the garage. Not going in myself, I watched at the door as he pulled the pipe up to his mouth and took a hit. At that very second, I was turned off. I turned around and walked away. Of course, he followed me, only to recover more money for his drugs for the night. I threw it on the ground and walked back to his family's house. I had to come up with a plan really fast because I had a son to take care of. And I definitely didn't want to be there when he came back in the morning. Since I knew he would be gone for at least the night, I made sure that I called someone from the church so they can pick me up first thing in the morning. As I sat in the car the next morning, I felt a sense of relief. Literally, like a burden was lifted off my shoulders. No more did I have to worry about that man's addiction, lies, and cheating. I no longer had to wait for him to change. I made changes of my own, and I was ready to start my new life without looking back. I never looked back or thought about the relationship, even when he called begging me to come back. I thought about my future, and I knew that I couldn't be married to him anymore. I had divorce papers drawn up that week and eventually got a job and my own place after living with my grandmother for a year. Any plans that you have to get out, keep them to yourself. If you are in an abusive relationship, I have provided numbers for you to call at the end of this video. Operators at those numbers are trained to get you out of your situation and into a well-protected, safe environment. If you have to save to move, get a secret savings account and have your statements emailed to you in a private email address. You have to do whatever you need to do to prepare to leave, especially if the situation you're in is dangerous. There is nothing worse than a hurt, upset, or crazy person stalking you because they don't want you to leave. Consider this. If the situation is bad and you really need to get out, don't worry about taking your possessions. You can get everything back, if not better. I was in the middle of a breakup with this guy once, and as I was packing my bags, he reached over and socked me in my eye. From that point on, I learned that I either had to leave when the coast is clear or make the guy break up with me. The choice is completely up to you about how you will go about your breakup. Just make a plan and leave. I don't have journal questions for this chapter because your plan of exit must be kept to yourself. You don't want your partner to be upset because they accidentally stumbled upon your journal and realize that you're really considering leaving them. Good luck. Thank you guys so much for listening to my book, How to Break Up with Your Partner, Whether You're in Love or Not,